What's up, guys? It's another episode of Off the Post. I'm your host, DJ Redcap, and we are live again with another U.S. Women's National Team versus France. Review. So
another one, like we do United States versus France reviews often.
Ignored. So we're going to continue on, and we're going to see what each of the panelists are up to, and then we are going to discuss the game and then look ahead.
Does Karen have a little Eiffel Tower?
I do have a little Eiffel Tower. Wait, but I also have a big one.
I just happened to look when DJ was being mean to me, and I was like, is she holding an Eiffel Tower? Because we played France? What? Sorry, DJ, I just got distracted by
No, it's fine. I was going to you anyway. So, Courtney, how have you been doing?
Very busy. Started work again last week. I have a lot of work to do this weekend, so that's all I'm going to say, because we want to move the show along so I can go back to doing all the work I have to do before tomorrow morning. But life is great. Olympics, woo!
Jen, what have you been up to?
Work. You're probably going to hear my voice crack a couple of moments in this episode. It's starting already. I'm inhaling cough drops. I've been sick for since the last show, actually. Since the last show, I've been sick. So I'm on the upswing now, hopefully. But I've been going to work like a little trooper, even through my sickness. So that and the Olympics is what's been going on with me.
And now let's go to Karen and see what she's been up to.
I've just been watching the Olympics, or at least as much of the Olympics as I can watch, since NBC sucks. And working, that's it.
All right, sounds good. Okay, first, I was going to mention somebody came to me, the viewer of the show came to me like this week and told me to talk to me about this thing with some wheelchair Olympics, and it's a website you can go check out. It's pretty cool. www.movinmathstv.com, and it's in UT Arlington home and away games, both men's and women's divisions. So you should read up on it. It's pretty cool, like the wheelchair Olympics. They have a real good site and tells a bunch about it. And he says he's been doing it for some time. So I thought that was a pretty good call to bring up. Also, if you haven't noticed, we are throwing a contest for a free scarf. The winner of that, it's pretty easy to win that contest, to be honest. All you have to do is like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter or Tumblr, that site that I never usually go to, and then you'll be entered for the contest, and we'll just pick probably 3 people and then randomly do the number generator, and we'll pick a winner. So tune in for that, and I'll probably be in the semifinals or something like that, because everyone likes free stuff. So if you want to say anything to us during the show, use the hashtag WoSoTalk. If you'd like to know why Courtney prefers not washing her clothes at all over using Tide with bleach, use the hashtag DJ Redcap, and we will discuss that with you. Let's start the show. So expectations going into this game. We're going to start with Karen first. What were some of your expectations going into this game?
I hate you. I literally hate you.
I don't even know what the hell that was, but my
he's getting back at me because I'm hosting Wednesday's show and I don't have a joke, so he's making one at my expense because I will not have one on Wednesday. But anyway,
well, no, I was going to use one because of the view, though. We always see it in the background. I'm going to start using jokes with people, but
I hate you.
Okay, so my expectations going into the game. I had no idea what to expect. I knew it was going to be a good game because the U.S. versus France is always a good game, whether France puts on the performance or we do or both teams do. And I thought that both teams put on a really, really exciting game. Words. And I was expecting a really good. Yeah, I don't know what's happening with my brain and my mouth. No connection. But I thought that it was going to be an exciting game as far as results. I thought it was probably going to be a tie, honestly. Just with France always struggling to finish, and the U.S. I think tends to struggle a little bit against France. So I was expecting a tie. So it was nice that it wasn't a tie and it was in our favor.
Jean Carl, your expectations going into this one?
I always feel like France and US is going to be kind of a battle of the midfields.
Same here.
And that's kind of what it was.
So I did expect we would come out on top. We did earlier with the She Believes Cup. But I anticipated that again, obviously, different rosters, but I figured having such experience playing them so recently, we would come out on top, but I knew it would be a hard-fought battle, and it was. So my expectations were pretty much met.
And Courtney, your expectations going into this one?
I mean, it's kind of been said like a lot. I think we've had a lot of similar expectations. I don't know. I thought this was going to be a challenge for the U.S. I think, and then people might get mad that we're saying this, but like as good as the U.S. are, like it just seems that because they play so many like low-ranking, not super great teams on the regular, that whenever they have to play somebody who is an actual challenge, they struggle, which was in my opinion, what was the case for the game yesterday. But so I was expecting it was going to be a tough game, just because like I said, we don't play any really challenging teams in friendlies or warm-up matches or anything like that, except for in major tournaments. So, yeah, I mean that's kind of, I figured it was not going to be an easy game, and it wasn't. So.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's one of those things where because we play so many cupcakes in our friendlies that you never know how good the team actually is or how good the players actually are. Because against those cupcakes, our players look like they play with so much freedom in there, and they can make mistakes because usually someone else on the team usually can cover up a lot of their mistakes or weaknesses. We never really get a sense of how this team can compete against some of the top teams in the world. So it was one of those games where I thought it was going to end up probably being a draw or something like that, because just of us trying to actually play against a team like this, and maybe later on if we ran into them again, then it would be something where we would probably beat them, since we probably have a better grip of playing against a team like that. But it went totally different than what I expected. Well, a little bit. It went a little bit different from what I expected. We're going to go back to you, Courtney. You're the first half.
So this is the time where I normally don't pick on people, but I'm going to really pick on people because it was not pretty. And I'm going to pick on Megan Klingenberg. Sorry for everyone in the whole world who loves Megan Klingenberg, but oh my gosh, within like the first 6 minutes of the game, she was just getting like burnt and like not great, and it didn't get much better on her part. But I just, and that's what I was talking about when I was saying, like, when you ask expectations, when I say that there's a lot of weaknesses that show. I mean, certainly that was not the only weakness that showed. Our midfield was kind of a mess too, but like that's when we talk about like teams that don't, like, that give us a hard time, like that's something I feel like I always say anytime we play a team that's like more challenging. I always have something to say about Klingenberg, and that's just the reality of it, I guess. And so I'm certainly not a great first half from her and a lot of players. Even O'Hara kind of got burnt a little bit too from time to time, but not nearly as bad as Klingenberg. But I mean, Tobin Heath had a great first half, great game in general, but I think she was really kind of like the driving force behind a lot of the attack for the U.S. because she was just, and she got like laid out a lot in that match too. But she was really kind of the only person that I looked at that was a highlight for the U.S. in the first half. I was kind of just like, what are we doing? But yay, Tobin Heath is great. It was kind of like duality of, oh my God, Kling, what are you doing? And like, hey, go Tobin Heath, because like you're our only hope for doing something at this moment, because it was true. But I mean, I think it could have been much worse for sure, but I certainly think it wasn't a great half for the U.S., so it could have been better.
Let's go to Jen Carl and some of her thoughts in the first half.
Oh, Jesus, wow. Courtney pretty much summarized that well. Kling just getting eaten alive, run over, wasn't great. There were sometimes, I was working all day yesterday, so I caught the game later, and Courtney was getting my delayed responses to everything she had seen earlier.
It's like I watched the game twice yesterday.
Yeah, it was literally like, what is Kling doing? Why is Tobin playing defense? What is happening right now?
Why is Tobin on the ground again?
Yeah, so people love battling Tobin Heath, apparently. So there was that. There was, Kling being a hot mess. On the other side, KO, she didn't get eaten up as badly, but she had her moments too, where the speed of France, I think, really got to him. We didn't really have a whole lot of chances in that first half. I felt like France probably outplayed us a little bit in the first half. They definitely challenged us a little bit more than we challenged them. So it was interesting to see, I think, how the U.S. would come back and kind of counter that. But the fact that it was such a battle of the midfields, I think we outplayed their midfield a little bit more. The big standout for me was actually, I know people are talking about Hope Solo a lot, but Buadi, for me, stood out because she's mega Butterfingers. Like, every time I've ever seen Sarah Buadi play, she's been like, just, oh, look, a ball! Oops, I dropped it. So I think the fact that she actually had one of the best games I've seen her have in a while is awesome. So Buadi really stood out, not just in the first half, but kind of the whole game for me.
Sounds good. Let's move on to the second half, and we'll start with you, Karen.
So, second half, the U.S. looked much, much, much better in comparison to the first half. Just the way that they were connecting. And in the first half, it looked like they were having trouble with like that last pass. And in the second half, it was, I think, Lloyd and Morgan were connecting a lot better than they had, I think, in any of the games that I've seen them play in together. So that was exciting to see. And I think it just happened when Lloyd kind of started moving up next to Alex Morgan. And it just worked a lot better, it looked like. As for defense, I mean, there were so many bad defensive plays from the U.S. in the first half that the second half just automatically looked a lot better just because they weren't leaving Renard alone in the box by herself to get these like headers that Hope Solo had to either deal with or the headers were off because France has trouble finishing. So yeah, it was a much better half just as far as defensively and in attacking. And I mean, Hope Solo still had a lot of work to do, and she did her job, which never really a problem for her. As far as Kling, she played the whole game and she looked tired by halftime. So I mean, I don't know what to say about that except that she should have been subbed a lot earlier. She should have been subbed. Period. She wasn't subbed at all. So she was getting burnt in the first half and burnt in the second half. So I mean, I don't know what Jill is doing, but whatever. So yeah, I would say second half a lot better from the U.S. and like everybody says, France I think kind of petered out in the second half. They always have really good first halves, and then in the second half they kind of just like. Did Kling get subbed out? When did she? Yeah,
like,
right.
It was like very late, way later in the game than it should have been. Like that should have been a Krieger. That should have been a Krieger comes on for Kling, not Krieger comes on for Dunn kind of thing. But it was like very.
It was like the 90th minute.
It was about 25 to 30 minutes, probably about 30 minutes later than it should have been. So
that's why I got confused. Okay, sorry. So Kling did get subbed off, but way later than she should have been. But yeah, France, I think they do better in the first half. And if they don't score in that first half, it's usually like, good job, U.S. All right, just get your goal. Like, right. By the second half, I think France either they get tired, they don't have the fitness, or they just kind of lose focus. I don't know. But that's something I think France needs to work on. And as far as the U.S., they need to work on defensive set pieces. So.
No, it's funny. Like you were saying with France, it's always weird watching them because I always feel like they better attack early and get something because they don't, then we're going to usually, as we do with most teams in the second half, we're the fitter team. We usually can outlast teams and score a goal. We ended up getting it, like I said, but we played better. In the first half, we didn't look good at all. I remember there were so many times where I was like, we're just losing the ball so cheaply. We weren't putting together anything. And then in that second half, we looked like we were putting together a bit more. Then France was the team more so like playing a lot of defense and trying to stop us a lot of the times. And they weren't, a lot of their attacks were like coming to nothing for the most part. I felt like after, just like you said, after that halftime, they really were looking. I guess they would have had to probably get out of there with a draw at that time because it was just nothing was going for them really. And we were the better and fitter team at that point. But Courtney, you have any thoughts on the second half or some of the substitutions?
Here's the thing. People are gonna either like me or not like me for this, and that's totally fine. So we know Allie Krieger came in, and I think it was blown a little bit out of proportion, but she did kind of give us all a little bit of a scare. Where I thought it looked like that the ball went in, like pretty much right after she came in. But here's the deal.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna once again, like, that whole play started because like Kling was not where she needed to be, and like the whole left side was open, and so I'm not. People know I'm like a Krieger fan, but like definitely kind of like a oops, like scary moment on Krieger's part for sure. But I've now seen a lot of people be like, oh look, you guys all wanted Krieger to come in, and she came in and almost scored an own goal. That's why she's a sub, and I'm like, what? So I would like to see. I'm still hoping to see some time. Like, I like Krieger and O'Hara. I think that I would like to see that at some point. I think that, like, I don't know. I don't think that Krieger and Kling really work that well together. I think that I much like to see KO move over to the left, which she can do. Like, did the whole Olympics in 2012 on the left. Yeah. Like, it's doable. But I think, like, I don't really get the subs. I don't get Krieger coming in for Dunn when Kling was clearly struggling. And then I think that it's really hard to judge, Krieger's performance. Like I said, I definitely acknowledge that we had a big oops moment, but, like, I don't think it's very hard to say, well, now I can see why she's not starting, because, I mean, yeah, that's one pretty big oops. Like, it didn't happen, though, but, like, to say, like, oh, that's why someone's on the bench is kind of, like, a bit much, I think. But I don't really get the subs. I don't really get why. Like, I think Press needs to come in earlier, too. I don't really understand why Press is coming in at, like, weird. The 85th minute or whatever if she comes in. I don't really get that either. But, yeah, I just, I always wonder about the subs. Like, a lot of people at the halftime were like, here's subs we should make, and we did none of them. And it's kind of like, and then when we did make subs, it was like, what? That doesn't make sense. Why are we making that sub? Yeah. So, I mean, it ends up working out, but, like, it's very strange when the way that Ellis utilizes subs sometimes, and I just kind of am wondering, like, what are you doing? And I felt that way, but I agree with what was said about the second half, in France as a whole. It's funny because we've seen France, when they've been winning against the U.S., like, really keep their foot on the gas the whole game. But it's right, when they, either when they're down or when it's level in the second half, they kind of just go, well, we tried for a half, good for us, and now we're just going to, go ahead U.S. So that's kind of weird for France. But, yeah, I agree with, like, what Karen said. I just, like I said, as far as subs go, just wanted to add, like, I don't really get it sometimes, and I also think people need to be careful about, like, judging the subs for, in, like, 10 minutes coming into, like, a very weird game where the U.S. isn't really playing that great in general. And Ellis making weird subs. Just, don't jump to this is why you're a sub and, like, blah, blah, blah conclusion. But, yeah, Kling needs to come off earlier. She was looking real tired. But, yeah, I echo what was said already pretty much. So.
And,
one more thing, too.
Oh, go on.
You both literally were like, one more thing.
Like, one more thing. Wait a minute.
We both have one more. Go on, Karen. Go on.
As far as France, we were all talking about how, like, they kind of, like, not quit in the second half, but definitely don't play to their potential in the second half. As one player who really was is Renard. I thought she was amazing at center back. She stopped Alex Morgan from having breakaways, like, I lost count. Did that slide tackle thing where it's just, like, the perfect slide tackle, and she just stole the ball right out of Alex Morgan's feet. So she did that a lot. So I will say, good job, Renard. Yeah,
when you look at someone like, I'm trying to think of what whatever, I apologize, Naseeb's new last name is, because she's still Naseeb to me for now. But they said her name the whole first half was just her, all the passes, all the good things, and then like the whole second half, it was like, are you on the field still? Like, what happened? Like, you're
she did disappear. Yeah.
not I think it's like Katamuro or something like that. I apologize for not remembering what that is, but yeah, like even like that's kind of the thing. Like you just to kind of go off what you said, like with Renard playing the full, as best she could, you kind of didn't see that from all of the, obviously all the players. And that's just someone who I think gives so much to the French team, and to see her kind of go from like dominating the first half to like, again, I think even the announcer said like we haven't really said her name at all this half, like what's happened. Something that's kind of difficult for them as a whole. Like, you have like, I mean, when it's, you don't want to see anyone kind of take their foot off the gas, but when it's like your best players that are kind of not performing, or there's that inconsistency where some of them are, but some of them aren't. Like, it's great that Renard's going full speed the last, the whole second half, but when you have no one else really like doing that, it doesn't work as a team cohesively. So.
All right, Karen, do you have something to say, or am I good now?
No, go ahead.
I know, and I just jumped in there because I like to hear myself talk. No, I don't at all, but.
Well, no, it's good. You guys made some points, because it's just, I'll touch on the Naseeb one first. It's weird how, like you say, you would think they would play through her a lot more, because when she gets the ball, she can make so much happen. But there's so many good players on the team, they probably all think they can make something happen and change the game. So she probably might get lost in the shuffle depending on how they're playing or who they're playing through a lot of times. But yeah, she should have touched the ball way more, because I thought she was subbed off at halftime after not just seeing her touch the ball much at all in the second half. Renard, a good point, the best moment for her was when she was up against Crystal Dunn, and I was like, Dunn, blow past her, use some trickery, blow past her, and she still got the ball. I think it ended up being a goal kick or something like that. She stayed with her pretty well, so that just shows, like, a player that tall, just how well she is with her feet, and how good of a defender she is. And also, other point, got it. Oh yes, tactically, I would have probably played Krieger. I would have started Krieger probably tactically, just because I would have, she's going to be one of those defenders that's really going to stick back there and just truly look to defend. When KO's more of a going forward type. But I wouldn't have had Kling in at all, so I guess you would have slid KO over there and probably just told her to probably sit back a bit more, or maybe overlap if you want to, depending on the situation. Probably give her a freedom, but I probably would have found some way to have Krieger out there in a game like this against the attacking team. Just have someone that's like a true, a true defender out there. But that would have been just me on that. So. All right, guys, we're going to go on to the next game, and we will start with you, Karen. We're going to discuss our next opponents.
Ooh.
Your thoughts on that game, and what do you expect to come from that?
The Colombia game?
Yes.
Honestly, I just want us to escape without an injury.
Or a red card.
Right, or a red card, because it's Colombia. I'd like both teams to escape without injuries and red cards, but I'm expecting us to put on a really good performance. I know we're like in the middle of the rainforest for this game, and that's gonna suck probably. But I think Malpew will probably be fit for that game by then, hopefully. And I think they'll be looking to her as a spark plug, kind of, in the attack. Because we know Alex Morgan is good up top. We know that she can score goals. But Pew has that kind of unpredictability. Nobody's really seen a lot of her. I mean, Alex Morgan, you kind of know what she's going to do. But Pew, I think, is new enough to the team that she would be an interesting addition in the front. I think that the defense will probably have fixed all of their set-piece issues. But the truth is, like, Colombia is not France. So it's probably going to be a lot easier game. Not to count Colombia out, because obviously they have put on some like really good shows against other teams. But I just think Colombia against a team like the U.S., it's just not in the Olympics. It's going to be a win for the U.S. It's just going to be a matter of how many goals we're going to score and if we let them score a goal.
Well, see, you don't escape that easy. You have to give me a number right now.
Dang.
I think she played that off real easy. Like, yep, it's just a matter of
Just,
like, no,
there
no,
we
no.
go.
I almost did it. Let's say I'm gonna say the U.S. is gonna win 3-0. Ugh. We'll see.
Okay, well, we forced that out of her. Let's go to Jen Carlton.
Literally.
Yeah, I don't. Colombia, that's just going to be. I feel like it's just going to be a really physical match. Not necessarily in the best way either. Like Tobin Heath has been getting fouled already. She's going to be like on the ground most of the game. Like she's going to try to score a goal from the ground.
Yeah.
That being said, we are going to beat them. That's just
Right.
that's just how it is. But I mean, I'll probably say 4-0 to the U.S. And I'm really hoping that Allie Long does something so that she deserves Player of the Match if they're going to give it to her.
Player of the match, Allie Long, for doing what? Sorry.
Losing a header.
Or not marking Renard at all. Like, who decided to put her on Renard? And that's not a diss on Allie Long, really. It's just like, out of all of the people to put on this like 100-foot tall player, Allie Long. It's fine. Let's do that, guys.
Wait a moment. Wasn't Allie Long player of the match, people? You all need to remember that. She was the player of Karen's Bay.
Was she, though?
Hey, now.
On paper, yes, according to U.S. Soccer. In reality, no.
DJ keeps bribing these people with all of the hundreds of thousands of dollars we make to.
OTP money, baby. T money all day.
Yeah. But anyway, so I would expect, if Tobin plays the full game again, I would expect her to have another good game. She just seems to keep getting better. She keeps getting more consistent. I know people in the past have always hated on her set piece delivery. I think she's got the best set pieces on the team right now. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Tobin fan. But I think that might be a good match to try out, that KO Krieger combination.
Yeah.
Just because we know it's Colombia. Like, how many times have we played Colombia? Like, it would be a good opportunity. But even though I say 4-0, part of me says 4-0, and then part of me says 2-0. And the reason why I say that is because we're still in the group stage, and the U.S. has been known to kind of take the foot off the gas pedal a little bit while in the group stage, and they might do that this time around, just for that injury prevention kind of thing. So ideally, it would be 4-0. More realistically, probably about 2-0.
All right, and Courtney.
Yeah, playing Colombia makes me nervous anytime, but especially, like, I was trying real hard because their first match, there wasn't really, like, too many crazy antics, but, like, man, I'm still bitter about that Urseg red card, which is, like, partially is the ref's fault, but, like, that player was, like, that was the worst dive, man, and I'm just nervous that, like, because you can't trust the refs. I mean, we saw, like, they make horrible calls. You can't trust the refs, and I'm just nervous that, like, you know what I mean? We've seen a very, very horrible, undeserved red card shown against Colombia, and it just makes me real nervous that, like, our players could literally do nothing, and, they're so good at, and this isn't to be disrespectful for the Colombia team, because there are so many players that work really hard on that team, and I know they're going through a lot, like, with their federation and everything like that, but, like, just, if they're not helping, people support them more by, trying to join the Olympic diving squad, but it just makes me nervous that, like literally the U.S. player could be doing nothing wrong, and if they sell a dive well enough, like, great, and someone's sent off and, missing against the knockouts, but, like, that just makes me nervous because, like, you literally can't do anything about it, like,
no.
And I didn't think there could be a worse call than there was against New Zealand, but you never know. I mean, that was probably one of the worst red cards I've ever seen ever in the time of watching, like, women's soccer. But that just makes me nervous, and it makes me nervous because Like that could, they're not necessarily like a team I worry about with like sloppy tackles and things like that as much, but it's really just the players who dive, or if, in instance, people feel like diving that, if we had referees that I feel like could see through that, I would feel more like secure. But again, we've just literally seen that that's not the case with all the refs. So, and it could just be that one ref is just really like horrible, and I hope that that's the case. But that stuff like that just makes me nervous because you never know what's going to happen, and it's not really in the U.S. control. I mean, they can try to keep themselves out of positions like that as much as possible, but again, Ursik didn't really put herself in, I feel like, a dangerous position either, and then look what happened. So that makes me kind of nervous. But as far as like the U.S. goes, I think I agree with what everyone said. Like, I highly doubt that Ellis will start Krieger and KO, but stranger things have happened. I agree it might be like a good idea to test it out just because, and I think Kling just needs a bit of a break too, because like there's such a quick turnaround. They're in like the jungle now, and she was looking real rough at the end of that game, like real tired. So even just try it out for a little while. But I don't know that she will because it's Ellis, and the Ellis way is not necessarily to do that. But I think like I definitely think the U.S. is going to win. I'm going to say probably 2-0, but it just is a game that makes me nervous just because of all like the shenanigans that could happen. So, but I think Colombia's in a little bit of trouble too. I don't know what the there's an update, but I know there really haven't been that many players that have stood out for Colombia in this tournament. But one of the players that stands out for Colombia in general, Lady Andrade, got subbed off injured last game, and I don't know if that's like just an ouch that she'll be okay or that's just a, hey, I'm not going to play the next game, ouch. But depending on that could affect Colombia also. But I think they're going to get a solid 2-0 win, and I could expect the U.S. to look a lot better than they did against France.
Yeah, my thoughts on this game, I just feel like it's not going to be a pretty game. It's probably going to be a lot of fouls. Team probably still won't look as good. I think they're going to start looking better in the semifinals and finals when they really want to turn it on. So I think it's going to be a game where we kind of go through the motions, try to make sure no one gets hurt. Probably a ton of yellow cards on Colombia's side. Hopefully they get called for some of the diving and other antics. But we'll probably see a little bit of good stuff from Colombia. But every time we play them, it's like we're going to win, but it's a matter of how much. But I don't see us like turning it on and really scoring a lot of goals. I can see a 2-0 victory. I don't think Ellis is going to change the lineup. We might see one change in there, and she might feel like she's forced to do that, just give a player play time or something. But I feel like that back line is going to stay the same probably through the whole tournament, and then probably just like maybe a change in midfield or something. But I don't know. I just know the Ellis way isn't to change up much as we all know that she should really do something else in a game like this against Colombia where you wouldn't want any of your stars to get hurt, maybe where you want some bench players to get a little bit of fitness so that they be ready in case you need to call on them in the the next the knockout stages, and it's just she won't do it. So I expect 2-0. Hopefully, like I said, we get out pretty clear with nothing happening, but I don't even expect it to be really a good-looking game, to be honest, but that's just my opinion. So we'll see what happens. All right, guys, I think that's everything, unless anyone has anything else they want to say real quick.
Well, I do. I shook my head no, and I said it real quickly. I'm gonna do your job a little bit for you right now, DJ. But just everyone to tune in to Wednesday's show because we have a super awesome special guest on. Yay! And there may or may not. I'm not guaranteeing. There may or may not be another giveaway happening during that after that show. So just a little unsubtle plug for Wednesday. Just check it out because it's going to be fun because one of our awesome friends of Off the Post are going to be on to share their awesome and very, very in-depth knowledge about women's soccer and the final group game. So check it out.
Yeah, actually, that's good you said that because that reminded me. Yeah, you should watch the next 3 shows because there's 3 special guests coming on. So special guest. We're doing it big for these Olympics, so you should really check it out. It's going to be a good week of special guests coming up. But whoever could that special guest be on the next episode? I do not know. They know a ton about women's soccer, so I was about to say football, but it's a soccer show. So, all right, guys. Yeah, make sure you guys keep looking out for that scarf contest. Because, I mean, we want to give it away to somebody. Yeah, there'll be other contests, actually, because I know I'm buying a bunch of little trinkets and stuff from women's soccer. U.S. soccer to give away. So, I'm your host, Karen Graycap, and that was another episode of Post.
Jen,
be sure to tune in this one.
Want to talk
Oh,
Jen wants to talk.
okay.
Every
Jen, go on, Jen.
I was
Go on,
like,
Jen.
stop.
Yes, Jen.
Can you stand up a little bit?
Yes. Like,
No, a little bit
Little
more,
higher.
I think.
Turn a little bit.
There you
Oh.
go. Okay. All right.
What happened? What happened? Did something happen on this episode
Oh.
I didn't know about?
There was some dirt on your shirt. I wanted to make sure that it got addressed.
Okay. Okay. Tie it with bleach, right? Right, Courtney? Tie it with bleach, right? Okay.
I don't know if it
We're just
has
tying this whole
bleach,
episode. We're tying this episode back from the beginning to the end of it right now. Okay, I'll clean that dirt off with some nice.
I know,
I'll throw
I
it
need to
away
pull
now.
a
I'm sorry,
Karen right
guys.
now and just like.
It's time.
They threw me the bus, people. I hate them all. All right, guys.
I
That's
did
the end of this
nothing.
episode. I'm waving. Everyone wave. It's over. Goodbye. Goodbye. I hate this stupid.